You have to record in my computer. Share screen just in case. And subtitles. And then we have 63% is dangerous. Well, it will be far away, but at least we will be able to see the drawings whenever they are. Okay, so you got a lot of votes, but you're very different in terms of process. About the same stage. Good, so it's nice to see everybody working plan, section, elevation, scale. I see, by contrast, with some little context, mostly the building alone. But okay, what do you have to say? What do you have to, if you want to say anything?
So I start from this drawing, and I felt that the building is too lonely, and I think the building itself needs to more approach the rest of the context and the Maronia Square. So I thought about extending the part for the building to become more welcoming, but still I didn't want to destroy the composition of the front facade. So I thought about the best way to make an extension towards the Maronia Square, yet keeping the composition. So I came up with extending this part, the existing part, to the Maronia Square. And since this part is a slab on the second floor,
Well,
extending
it
to
is, you know, because you have that elevation. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So you're expanding the main floor towards the square.
So this is only the one floor mass, and I drew some sketches of how it will look. And I think this should be the new main entrance instead of this. This can still work as an entrance, but I think making an entrance more large and spread out can act as a more welcoming entrance for the building. And I think it spreads out, people can spread out more actively throughout the building if we use this as an entrance. But still, the pre-existing entrance can still work as an entrance, as a access for professionals who have a more definite goal of visiting. So for example, just a passersby who are willing to just look around at the library can enter through this and this entrance, but a professional who wants to record or just read the theater books can just come right here and reach as fast as he can to the place he wants. And I also think that this side of the building is way too shy compared to how it faces the main road. So I think that the artist house right now lacks this facade to be more articulated and more welcoming to the people who are passing by here. And that's why I want to extend this part to show people more that there is something here and people can just enter through this part.
Okay, how about the extension in the back? Because you have like this kind of addition to make a new entrance. What about the back, the south side?
So this thing started with this line because I felt that there needs to be it shows here in this elevation, and I felt that there needs to be a balance to the addition here. So I thought that there should be something here, and I drew this line. And I found out that if I try to put all the programs, such as library and recording rooms, then there is a lack of a more open and lively space, a more space with sunlight. So I felt that I need to add a open space with cafe and auditorium, so that people, there are also people coming from here, and we cannot not think about that. So this can be a sub entrance. And since quoting from this sight line, I also added a diagonal line, so it feels more free, as it was just like the facade here. So, and that's why I came up with these lines.
And then what happens in the lower diagram? Because you have a bit more context.
Oh, so this was the first idea, and then after I drew this, then I wrote some more on the side plan.
So that one is a bit more interesting. So what is the change there?
So this is after choosing all the
messages. It seems like it's after, but what did you change? Why did you do something new?
because
What do you improve?
here I was not organized, just writing down.
Yes, I know
things.
this is the intention. Then,
Mhm.
So this is like the last drawing.
Yes.
So explain what happened in the end. Are you happy? It works? Doesn't work?
Oh, I
What is
tried
the
to
next
do
step?
something here with the
But I
facade.
see you put cross.
Yes. So it doesn't work, but yeah, it's just an organizing pace, nothing new. Just all of the things here are
Okay.
more detailed in these
Okay.
drawings.
So nice to see you. How does it feel without iPad?
I think it's hand drawing is better.
Yes, you don't need to agree with me. So I also think hand drawing is better at this stage. But it's not because I say it, it's just in my experience. Okay, so this is interesting. Anybody to comment about things interesting here, things that which might not work or things that work? Anything? Connie, you're looking with critical eyes. What are you thinking?
I know. I just
Because you had also a big volume in the front. This is a bit smaller, but this was like your diagram reduced. It's like your first drawing is like a reduced. So you should ask him for an explanation. Is he taking your idea or not really? It is close to you. You were working in the front of the building. You may want to say something.
actually, I'm just thinking about the street behind this building because it's just a minor dot, but they have no pedestrian for the street on there. So when I designed mine, I thought about it, but I think it looks too. I think the level to the yellow one, I think that could be more.
Losing my things around the glass.
The other side. So how did you? How about?
Oh, I did not think about that. So just the shape. Yeah, so that was my bad.
If you know, in Hong Kong, they have some street inside the building. So is that so? You display this or you consider about this street on here?
Oh,
They have some street on here because building
yes.
have some void on here, so they connected. So
So that was not really
this,
intended.
this part is, so this is what you're commenting. This one.
yeah.
So this is where a study model may help you because you can see through and see how it works. Right. Okay. More comments about this? Because speaking of a second entrance, which many will think, he's doing a library. Who is doing a library? Library, but as a main program. 3, yes, I thought there were more, 3 libraries, not bad. Who's doing a museum? Nobody is, 1 museum, it's not bad. But we have 2 healing centers, that's unusual. So those doing libraries, what inspiration you get here? What is he doing wrong? What is he doing right? Or nothing to say? Librarians. So this yellow is this yellow here.
So it's the auto spaces here. So it is first, second, third. It is this section, A to A.
Okay, you know, again, this is a problem of communication. When you use colors, try to be consistent with them. So we recognize things because I would think this was kind of the extension, which is like a higher. Then I see the section is different white, right? But I would expect this color to be the same color over there.
Yes.
Right. So this is nothing of this is extension. Well,
No.
a little bit, only that. Okay. Library. No. You have library. You started library in depth. So what is he missing? Nothing. It's perfect. Zoom. We have 2 zooms. The other zoom. Zooming. What is he missing? You're very clear. He's looking very, very critical eyes.
Actually, I'm still not sure about how it works.
even when we see fancy kids. So I was still
Okay. Nobody wants to help you. They have their secret, so they get it. So interestingly, libraries are very strict with the circulation because you have areas which everybody can use, and some areas which need some kind of control. Even in Sweden, the country of freedom, you have some control to go to the library and to the spaces, right? So it's very open. So circulation, how you move around is very important. 3 entrances, maybe you may need more or less, but there is something in the middle, which is the entrance, right? Imagine you have an appointment with your girlfriend. You say, oh, there's a great library in Maronier. Let's meet at the gate. And you're waiting here, your girlfriend there, and then you never meet, broken relation because of that. Well, that's something we have to be careful, right? So if you want to make a main entrance, that's perfectly okay. So it's a way of solving some problems here, but everybody should understand it as the main entrance. And this within the entrance is so clear that it's very hard to compete with it, but still you can do it. But that entrance should be justified not only because it is closer to the main street, you don't need to go to the full square, but also because it makes the full system of the library work better, or the control access and so on. Then as it happened with the theater and so on, the cafe is always ambiguous space, right? So if you're in a really controlled library, you cannot go straight to the cafe. You have to leave your books, get out and go to the cafe. You may have a cafe with open stacks or open things. So it could be somewhere in between. So you have to think also this kind of layering of the space. Then cafe, lounge, well, it's kind of defined, but places to stay benefit from a contact with a garden, nice view, some pleasant area to be, and that may also help you in the decisions, right? The scale should be a bit according, well, it depends very much on the idea you have of the building. So this could be, but I find it like a more blocking than really inviting as you draw it. I think it's very solid. Maybe it is the way you draw, right? It feels like a really solid element in front of the building, not really something hiding your knowledge in the entrance. So we had several libraries, quite a lot, and some of them have the entrance in this area. So, but then that was motivated by also how the building works inside. Right? So anybody with a library needs to really work clearly in the character of the spaces, because most of you have specialized areas and control the stacks and so on. How is the circulation around? Right? How do you divide people? And still, as Jessel was saying, the building is clear. You don't need to have somebody telling you the way at every step. The anti-clear space is the subway. Right? You go in the subway, and unless you know by memory spaces, you have to look at the signs to know where you are. And it's super annoying because you go downstairs, you have to go upstairs, and then downstairs again. So don't do that in a building. This happens in a building, right? But when you study circulations, there must be logic, right? Oh, is this in your project?
No, I said I always go in the wrong direction in the subway, but maybe that's a me problem. Not a problem of the subway.
Well, the subway in Seoul has its things, but depends. The older lines are more tricky. Line 1 is very tricky because it's very narrow. Sometimes you have to get out to the street and change the direction at times. Right? New ones are much easier. But the problem with Seoul, the subway is so huge. Even if you put in the wrong wagon, you have to walk for 10 minutes to go to the other side of the train. Well, yeah, but that's the anti-public space. You have to follow signs, but it's not inviting at all. So try to avoid this kind of ways. One thing which I think is positive is very clear what is the existing, what is the addition. But I miss the interaction, right? So this kind of a small overlapping, but there's always a very clear limit of new and old. Surely something happens in between, right? And I think this is most interesting. I would question this. So we also, without that stage, things look so much better. You might always replace it and put it in this place. But when you design, better take it out because you may have more ideas, right, or more clear vision. So you see, you have an important axis, and this is in the way. And this is not that's not so great either, right? As a stage, you have a very weird connection there. Doesn't work well as a backstage. It wants to be a stage, but it's not really great as a stage either, right? So, and it's blocking you.
About that theater, open theater. Actually, I thought about changing direction of the theater and like Center Pompidou. So like they have gentle flow on there and going to the building. I actually am consider about last time, but I dropped it because of the extension problem. Is it promising?
Well, that's Pompidou is a great building. That's very dense area of Paris, and that's very intelligent thing. The moment you put the slope ground, it has to react to that slope. And people stay there for some reason, right? There's a very intelligent way to have one more floor in the building without making it higher and with very easy access. Exotic comment, when you make something sunken, you have to forget it's a sunken space. You feel you're really not underground. And I think that's successful because it's so big and it's fun. So people go there and stay, play, because the ramp, the slope itself is inspiring. Right? So it's something which also may be an alternative to those ramps, which could be full space in ramp. There is, or there were, because one of them died last year, I think, a couple, well, one French architect actually, but there were a couple, not famous, but quite interesting, 1960s, 70s. Who are they? Claude Parent. And Paul Viribio. Maybe it is the recording of the previous session because it went to the computer straight. So I'm getting my hard drive overloaded with videos. Okay. So the first session was recorded and will be in YouTube. It's not in the Zoom site. So Paul Viribio, well, they did some projects in 1960s, which was the oblique architecture. Claude Parent, architect, professor in Paris. He was teacher of Jan Nouvel and those generation. Jan Nouvel or Perrault, or both of them. I think he passed away 1 or 2 years ago. Viribio actually is a philosopher. So he helped Parent to set the ideology of the oblique architecture. It's kind of full theory of a new way of making cities. So they were very radical. All buildings would have not horizontal floors. Everything is slanted. So full city is conceived on the slanted floors as a way to have a continuous space, right? Accessibility and more space with the same volume. They did not build much in this idea. The drawings are fantastic. They were like a Beaux-Arts, so they have very beautiful pencil drawings. They have the book. You can find it, I think, in English also. It's a small manifesto on the benefits of oblique architecture. And I know they have in this idea just a very few projects. Right? Maybe one showroom and a church. They call the bunker because it's all concrete. This is a bunker. So actually, the church, you have the ground, and you have like one element which goes up, right? Another element which goes. So you have this kind of 2 pieces of concrete from the floor to the church, and then the light coming. Right, something like this in diagram, more or less. Okay, so this is to speak about the, of course, the Pompidou is about this time. So surely this was published when they did the Pompidou, and this quite a demonstration in terms of production. This could be possible. Yeah, this could be. So I think this is most interesting. And actually, with the failure thing, it looks even better. So I think this is probably not the solution, but it's a good change from this to the other. A bit softer, more articulate. But of course, this is not a formal gesture. Should be also having to do with the program, the material used here, right? It's not the same to do this part all in glass, as Jessel was proposing or suggesting, as doing it all in concrete or brick, or something more solid. The element will be different, right? It depends very much what you use here. Of course, this is the south part. So you have area of rebuilding, but nice possibility of garden. So it's a difficult choice to make there, right? So I think in terms of process, this is quite interesting and quite much in the point. Nothing has shaped yet. Again, as we said to Jess, so don't think this is a final design. This is awkward. So this kind of having very soft ramp with something on top of it, this is a difficult relation. If this is kind of canopy, maybe it's lighter, maybe it would be just like only canopy, just columns, and maybe even 2 floors, right?
Yeah, it's canopy like
Yes,
this.
but maybe even higher, so it's not so stuffy. And to be lighter, could be even higher on the building.
Yeah.
You can try many different things. But if the canopy is higher, the building is just behind, right? They will clearly, well, something monumental, but which is very light and inviting at the same time. Maybe not, but it's just telling that there's many ways to do things, right? And could be, and this could, once you put it, if people come from this side, maybe it could be rotated in some way. This maybe it opens to the square, not the donuts, please, but motivated by whatever you have around. Because I think the relation with this round is a bit difficult.
Yeah,
and things need to feel a bit. Yeah, but yet I would continue, right, little by little, giving shape to things. Remember that layer in between, right? That interaction, circulation, little by little, try to give shape to things. Will be fine. Questions? Okay, you will be asking anytime. Good. Who is around? Steve, don't hide.
I was trying my best.
Don't be shy. Can you pass me the camera? Thank you. Your photo. Just 1 second. I have my digital in my scribble. Okay, go on. So what are you doing? Because you were with the bits the other day and now you put things together, but still very much in just a building, a little bit of context.
Yes, I'm again with the bits, but the bits from another part of the whole complex. I've moved from the smaller buildings that I want to integrate into the square into figuring out the main part of the renovation process, which is actually working on the building itself. Now, I've changed most, if not the entire inner configuration of the building. After I looked at the beam plans and everything, most of the inner walls shouldn't be affected by movement of, most of the floors shouldn't be affected by the movement of the inner walls, which means that I have quite a large degree of freedom when it comes to moving stuff around. Now, I still have my ramp building in the back of the existing building, and I try to fit in the program as a, this is not,
So you're moving on the building.
I'm not moving the building, unfortunately. But I have started putting in a program. So the first floor is mostly concentrated around the workshop area and expanding it as much as possible so that there is enough room for it. I wanted to use the space between the additional building and the existing building as some sort of open air workshop slash area that can be used to move stuff around, because stage design is quite,
here.
yeah, so it would be on the other side of this. This is the south facade. So this area in the center would be an extension of what is going on inside of the building.
Where is the
Um,
cafe you were going the other day? Cafe
That
was-
is in
it's not-
another part of
not
the
here.
square, which is not
Just to
here.
keep the emotion.
Yes.
So we're keeping the
So-
cafe so long for just not putting it here. Okay, go on.
I still have to put everything together.
Okay.
And then in this side where the grid is, I wanted to do the outdoor welding and painting area, and I was thinking of introducing some sort of boundary, not to close it off, but rather for the safety of the people who walk by, because welding creates a lot of sparks and is quite noisy and also possibly blinding if you look at it, which is not fun at any time. And then I kept on thinking about the supplementary uses to the workshop, which also needs the storage and the service area. In this case, I wanted to bring those into the building because it would make a nice core that opens up to different sections of the whole workshop area. So people who are working outside with painting, working in the courtyard with, I don't know, putting things together, or if anyone needs something from the building itself, they would have a center with the storage and some area that they could use exactly for the materials. Also, I've changed the core of the building. Let's say I've changed it into an atrium because I felt that that would declutter the building quite a lot more. It would make it way easier to transit through and would give you quite a good idea of where you are in the building. This is most noticeable in the second floor, so the main floor of the building, let's say, where going into an open plan area and possibly having some sort of pinboard or orientation panel or something right next to the entrance, giving you a bit of a rough idea of what's going on in the building, might be quite nice to have. Going up again, this is where the funky idea with the building going through, like the addition going through the existing building takes place. The main idea of this is to knock down 2 of the exterior walls and then placing a volume that crosses the building, so that we get added space, and also it creates a much more interesting shape, and it also completes the courtyard idea without closing it off on the lower levels, which means that on the ground floor you can go through it freely without any obstruction, but there is a volume above you which closes everything off. This also helps with accessibility, since the second ramp that goes from the top of the workshop to the top floor is also included here, because I had the feeling that ramps inside of the building would be a bit of a mess. They're quite difficult to
They're
integrate.
difficult, yes.
This is an overview of the south facade and how the ramp system works. So this is the first ramp that goes to the intermediate level. The workshop is quite a bit taller than 1 floor, but not as tall as 2 floors. I'm quite lucky because the floors get progressively taller, so that below the top seminar room volume, there's still enough space for people to be able to walk underneath. And then this is the second ramp that leads up to the top level, which
And this
completes
section is
the
done-
circuit. This section is done through, I think I've marked it here. It's not very visible, but this is the section through the whole length of the added volume.
So the area, this is the element protruding outside.
Yes, exactly. This is the element protruding
Here it
through.
looks bigger,
It looks how?
bigger here,
Oh,
because this is 200, this is 100 scale.
I might have. Yeah, it's supposed to
Yeah,
stick out a bit
maybe
more.
this is
Yeah,
why I
yeah.
have to- maybe this is more
Yeah.
proportion there, but
Yeah, yeah.
okay, okay.
Because I wanted to see how the whole building would
So
connect.
the existing building is this part, right?
Exactly.
And this is-
And then
this is the-
everything is added. This is the inner courtyard, as I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Comments to this?
Question, did you also work on the north facade, so the front facade of the building with the addition? Because you yeah, you push through the building, but I'm curious about how that
And
works
it is
with-
your cantilever. So
Yeah.
everybody's copying you today.
Um,
You should get a fee from them,
I have not done a drawing with it, but it looks.
but you will do it right after.
I will do it after.
Okay,
Um,
yes, this is very strong
yeah.
gesture.
Yeah.
And actually you have a very tight thing, which is very difficult to solve. So probably you
Mm.
might experiment a bit more with different.
Yeah, this space I find very important though, because it creates a very strong contrast, especially since it's casting quite a huge shadow on the building. I feel like this space in particular, and also this joint here, will help differentiate the two building parts and
Right.
make it stand out even more.
But
Maybe in a
to be
good
so
way.
close, you need to have something very light and transparent here, just to
Yeah.
contrast with it. Yeah.
Mm.
Because even in terms of construction, it's very hard to
Yeah.
even put pieces there.
I've also
Okay.
started thinking about the material, and this large load-bearing wall would have to be concrete in order to take the weight from the ramps and all of the circulation happening down here. But most of the building itself, I really wanted to make it out of wood. Cross-laminated timber would be quite helpful for large
Yeah,
spans.
you can use also massive wood,
Yes,
which is better even than massive concrete.
yeah, in
But just as an
some cases.
no, right? So you could,
We work with those a lot in the
Right.
evening, so
Yes.
I feel most comfortable
Right.
with.
but I say just to avoid concrete.
Okay,
Well, I would avoid concrete if possible.
in this
But you
case, it
could
might
go
be.
even to, sorry, go on. Go on.
It might be a bit difficult with the weatherproofing in this case because wood is quite sensitive to dampness and moist, especially in these cases where there's a ramp and there's the possibility of many infiltrations going on.
Well, you may work on it.
But it's doable.
Concrete is also sensitive to infiltration. So, and even worse because the steel inside will
Mm,
rust.
well, yeah.
This happens, all buildings sold, you will see the concrete just popping out of the reinforcements. Okay, so one question of the person who was copied. More comments about this? No. Okay, interesting the process. So this is quite personal. I think you still, so it's good step come from the bits to put the things together. Okay. But I still one more step, right?
Yes.
It's nice you go to 100, but I think came too early
Oh,
and you have to so much. Probably things are in your head. Now it is an excellent moment to make a small model and to test on the side because I wonder about the scale of this space. Being one floor may be okay, right? But okay, telling okay, this is all timber and glass is also very easy. Right? Thin and glass,
yeah.
and the model you put actually looks great,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I even have the measurements down. I just ran out of time.
you don't need to say that. We see what we're able to do.
I'm very
So
honest.
probably you're drawing with too much scale at the moment, which is not necessary.
Oh.
So you're wasting time, not wasting time, but you do this. This could be midterm presentation drawing already. For this school standards, because that is okay. You can add just a little bit more keywords and some kind of picture. So when you're working, you can put just your next sketch over. You don't need to get all the windows. So there's a lot of time to do those things. So we have people who do like that and feel better when the drawings are clear. But if you do this in every stage, it takes forever, and it's not necessary. That's one thing. The model. Yeah, it's interesting you did this section. I would expect more sections and elevation that is a scale before you go to that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see that cafe. I can just do it to your cafe because it was like the most effort you put. It's not here.
I will put everything together on Friday, and I'll bring it as a.
Yes, but when you put things together, you see we have to adjust things and return a bit. I would suggest you to keep things together. You were telling this ramp is going outside the
Exactly.
right?
So this
So probably,
this corner is going to be.
well,
on the
then
first level.
we need to see the street, but it's a bit on the limit of what we can do. So the question is, the border of the plot will have to be 1 meter away by law, but still I think 1 meter will not affect much the whole thing. I think it's better you solve it so we are on the site than cheating.
Okay.
So if this is the day before the final submission, we say, okay, the plot is bigger,
Yeah.
but we don't need to cheat. That's secret. Don't tell anybody.
I don't. Yeah.
But I think this could be urban element that you can say, okay, actually this roof is public space street will be open all the day. But if it's on the street, maybe it should be connecting something else. So you have something you can use more continuously, right? I encourage you to use roofs, right? Including the top. But this is really wanting people to be there and could be even not going, well, it goes inside the building at some point.
Yeah.
This ground,
Yes.
at some point you're going inside the building, right? I know you're going to the roof.
Yeah, it's underneath the building, so it's this.
So this
where it's
is a different,
suspended.
this is a
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Confusing.
This is
Okay.
cut here, so 1 meter
So,
above.
okay, so we missed this kind of, probably this floor should show already this terrace,
Oh, okay.
right? So
So I
think
would
we
have
need
to
clear it.
cut even higher.
I would
Okay.
cut at least for the ramp, otherwise it's a bit confusing.
Oh,
And then what we said about circulation, so building is more free, but if you have people working on welding, circulation is not so free because you cannot have the children running around and so. So it's kind of, you need some kind of filter there. Right?
circulation for the people who are working.
Right, but
Yeah.
now it looks like open to the square and everywhere else. And
Mm.
this is like a space very public, so probably you have to explain a bit better that. Rabat is okay. The larger scale stair is better, but I find this very small. The toilets are uncomfortable there. They're very intrusive. Probably could be in some corners, extension. So you have like a really nice atrium. You could test also the stairs outside because now the stairs are a little bit big for the building.
Yeah.
But okay, so this is why you need to test many things before you spend so much time doing final drawings. Great, thinking of the material, right? Timber is excellent option. It's sustainable, soft, it's durable, it's trendy, and it's difficult. Whatever, so as you said, right? You can have everything perfect. That's good choice, right? Concrete is okay, but in Korea, concrete is kind of obvious choice. So if we can do without concrete, better. Questions?
The toilets feel uncomfortable anywhere.
Well, right. So probably have to think the toilets not as kind of a abstract addition, but as part of this kind of enjoying the space or moving around. Right. Toilets, we have to deal with them, and they're accessible toilets, so you will need a lot of space. Right?
Okay.
And they make sense near the access. Of course, it is yet very abstract. And you have toilets in every floor, which is a good idea.
Yeah. I try to align them as much as possible, one on top of the other, except for these ones because it's near the workshop area and they might need a bit more space to clean
Or
things.
it's kind of more wet room.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
probably could
yeah.
be this whole space around there.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, these are the ones which are a bit more convincing.
Yeah.
The areas, because this is not in the middle of everywhere.
Yeah. I try to align them as much as possible with this axis so that I move
Yes.
them away from the
Right,
main
but,
atrium, but they still take a lot of space, so they still
Right.
cut through.
Yeah, you have a very open atrium with a monumental stair and
And the
tiny opening, but it's a bit.
I don't like them. This was the
So
best
we
compromise
have to
in
find a
design.
better place for them.
Yeah.
And this is where the extension may help. And maybe we need that missing part, the coffee shop.
Yes.
Okay, good. We will take a photo of this, and our next winner is get somebody with 4 points. So okay. Okay, can you put it in a proper location? And can you pass this to Yunjong?
These are so cute.
Huh?
These are so cute.
Very class. Okay, so we have a lot of things. So you brought back your drawings from the building. So this is nice work, right? So this is kind of what you submitted for building analysis. It's kind of a superficial in terms of analysis, but at least a full set of drawings, which helps you get familiar. So this, you could use them as a base for your design. So you put tracing paper on top of it and you make your sections and elevations. And we have another model, abstract model. So start from there. What's that? So that's a section.
Yes.
Okay, so what is it?
At first, I scaled down the program and from this words by Louis Kahn, I come up with this image, and then I thought about why people gather in the below of the tree. So from this, I come up with first these images. So this section was intended to make the same effect with this image. People gather below the tree because the tree protect the sunlight and make some shade. Also, below the tree, people can see the landscape or surrounding them. So, so I want to same similar filtering with this tree by this model.
But there's, okay, so there's supposed to be people and trees.
Yeah.
People without hair. You draw them in the inside. Okay, so I guess the head is inside this volume. So this would be like somebody with a face there. Right. Maybe. Okay, but when we have the trees already, this is the space. This is what confuses me a little bit, because it's very clear to be under the tree. And you have a Newton, apparently, because the apple is falling in his head. But then the ground under the tree is totally different thought, right?
Yes.
But maybe this is just a kind of thought. So I think, okay, this is kind of symbolic tree and symbolic leaves and so on. But there's real trees. Okay, and then how does it go to the project and to the new program and to that sketch over there?
This sketch is develop process of this stuff.
So this is like the ending point. Okay, and this is in between. Okay, explain a little bit so we can follow you.
Maybe both of them between, but
Okay.
I marked all of the trees in the Mani Park. Found some void between the trees. And this is another try. And I found some void of void because according to this image, people may gather below these trees. I thought that the void of the trees may become the
So this is a known tree area.
yeah.
Okay.
become the
It's the open space. let's say.
yes. Then people can. This is maybe the movement of the people. This is some discussion area because void means trees area. So maybe this arrangement will become the discussion area. Like things happen like this. Yes, that's it.
No, and then, like you said, you had the process. So I think we need more because we don't follow. So you have the existing building is untouched, but then something changed. You have to explain what's the new program and what is the building and what happens there. Because I see a lot of underground and that worries me. But then I see something on top of the building. It's very hard if you don't say a bit more. Probably you're thinking yet, but
Yeah.
Okay, just tell us what is in your head, because that part of the park is interesting. I'm not sure I follow you totally. But then you changed the building in size and program.
Yes.
So what is now the name of the building, or what is the building about? What?
My program is still students university, but more scaled down. At first, I think about the curriculum. There will be spring and summer and fall and winter semester each. Then each semester have different subjects. These humanities, living environment, society, economics, and culture and art need some lectures. So and this citizenship and futurology subject needs some discussion area and research and creation area. From this, then I think about more some timetable of each subject, and according to this curriculum, I made some programs. The educational basic facility has administrative office and professor's lab, lecture room, discussion space, research room, and lecture room can divide into 2 lecture room according to those characteristics. General lecture room means really general lecture room, and practical classroom means something like dancing room or then research room means laboratory or strategy. Yes.
Okay, and then this is like the list of rooms in the area. So a little bit on the big side.
Yeah.
And this is kind of elevation, kind of plan, kind of section, kind of, I don't know what.
It is also sections of more detailed sections of this image.
So of that, what goes in the existing building and what goes in the extension?
I'm thinking on that.
And then everything you put here is about the park, not about the existing building, really. So
Maybe slightly, but I mean, I think much about the connection. I'm working on that part.
Right, but it seems that you're doing everything underground, is it? So this section is like a one floor under the trees.
Mm. But maybe this level not exactly located in this, slightly up or down.
Yes,
But
but
I
that
don't know.
means everything happens in the apartment here.
Actually, this image is my effort to extend this happening into our side, our building.
Okay, so comments about this, because it seems everybody's very excited about this project. I think I saw this image somewhere also. But there's a different motivation. This is the space without trees. That's interesting.
It was because I was thinking of making a tree a center and make a circle also.
Right.
Yeah, so.
So it's kind of complicated because when you go to the intersection, this is like really where you have a tree, right?
Yeah.
So then what do you need to draw so many circles? Just go straight to the trees. Yeah, this space. Okay, this is okay, comment, suggestion. Because Yunjun is working a lot, but having a hard time to, you can see that the abstraction works very well. The model is interesting, but then things become very fluffy, right? So
I have a question. Where is the connection of the, so if you're in the main building, how do you just go outside to use the underground, or is there like an underground connection to the?
That's exactly what I'm working on now. Mm.
everybody is speechless. Okay, so this is interesting. Actually, we had, oh, Sunjay, come here. Come here, so we can, yeah, because it gets recorded.
Okay. So you're making the underground space under the trees, but when you make the roof with the trees, you should make some very thick roof. It's okay when you make some small trims or brass, but when you see that image, there are very big trees, so you should make very thick roof, and you can go more deeper. What do you think about it?
That is also my problem.
Okay, so when you start in a line in which you have only problems, maybe you should look in another direction a little bit. So let's say get a problem as it is. Still, Citizens University is kind of open university, like a continuous education or open education. I don't pay so much the curricula, so because that may change totally, and then you have not motivation for the building. So it's really much like a normal educational facility. Still, I miss the personality of it, right? So you may have this program. This is like, okay, teach, but I don't believe so much that curriculum. This can be a motivation for you to give an example of the building, but you have to think that in a recent way, this could be a place for general population to have some kind of additional culture things. This is very much community center library work. So what usually people learn, right? We commented on Seoul Citizens University. Suggestion was, how successful was it? How did it change with time? Because you can do better than them, right? It's important. But again, what makes this building inviting. Imagine you don't take any of the courses, but still you like to go there because that place inspires you, helps you. This is what you have to find here, right? Some of those spaces should be for everybody. Not so much going to study one major, and then leave after one semester. Okay,
Yeah.
so keep the area, keep the ideas, but don't stick so much to that curriculum. I think that's not very realistic. But okay, let's have this. Right. Then this is interesting. We had one student doing this. He was extending the museum because we share the buildings and he did everything underground. And it was a lot of, it was similar to this, the process, but to go under the trees, under big trees is very difficult because those trees, I am living, so my pencil is, okay, I have more. I let it over there, but I have more. Okay, I get this. So this tree will have roots like this. Right. Probably not so deep. So the moment you excavate, you'll need to excavate like a really, really probably 3-4 meters under. If you go in between, you have a very little space and you might kill the trees, which is not good business. And then going down is what you do in the subway tunnels. So you could go to this kind of Michelangelo, Buenos Aires, kind of cave space. But cave space has this kind of doing something which is kind of hiding a cave, right? It's like drinking at night, having this kind of nightlife. It's not like the open thing.
Yeah.
That feeling of going under the ground has this kind of hiding. It is exciting. It is sustainable because it's very easy to sustain the climate. But for sure, you will have groundwater here because we are on the side of the mountain next to it. So probably we'll have a lot of water. You have to fight with the trees. And then these are totally different things, which is what confuses me. Under the tree is under the tree. First off, trees are great because they give shade. They are a landmark. They set the space. In Korean villages, you have the kind of old tree of the village. It's a beautiful, enormous tree in Hahue Maul, Andong. Actually, I have to go there. Hahue Maul this weekend. It's one of the old traditional villages. But there is a space, it's kind of a sacred tree, right? Okay. It's kind of tree, it's on the east side, southeast side of Korea. We have a field trip of the department in May. They go to the southwest. It will be on Friday, so it is our class time, but you can go. So you will see another places.
But would it be in Korean because they provide information only in Korean?
But if you see the building, you don't need explanation. Somebody will help you. Somebody will, surely somebody who can speak English can tell you the basics, but just some things. I have done hundreds of trips with the Korean guides and just kind of background music. The places speak by themselves.
That's why they're
Okay, so the project ended up being kind of a structural study of how to support the trees, and there's not much of really problem there because there's circulation and things. That's not a great thing. So recover this, work on the surface, right? You can go under, as we say, occasionally. So some small part can be used as the Pompidou Center, but should not be the core of the extension, because then there's no problem. You go underground, you don't touch the building. That's great. No problem to solve. Only something technical. Right? And I know you did some kind of underground, half underground building before, so change a little bit. Right? Don't stick always to the same thing. Okay. So, and this is interesting. This could help you with the landscape. This is an interesting thing because it's not just one donut, it's the empty spaces. So you can give something which just continues inside the building. You can create those kind of meeting spaces without the same thing Sanjun is doing, or Sunmin will explain later. Right? Because probably they don't need to be circular. Could be some kind of convenience there, right? But two things. make this as it is, but public, not only for people going to study there. What space can you provide for anybody going there, be comfortable even if they're not taking classes, and walk over the ground. 3 ideas, okay, but underground should be just occasional. Okay, this is unrealistic. This will work with a model, with a cardboard, not with real things, with real building. So nobody would excavate under the trees. And we have big subway construction. Very often the trees are lost because they cannot survive, because you change the groundwater. So those trees live on the water, which infiltrates from the mountain. If you cut it out, they would have a hard time surviving. So you're just doing the opposite. You're intending to do. And you can make the metaphor of the tree. So it's going to be symbolic trees. That could be interesting. Just a small place. You have the landmark, the light, the meeting space. You can work with it. You have a small spaces around which are extensions of the building, right? And then you understand the building as also an extension of the park. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Nice. Nice job. Nice drawings. We have to go faster and faster. 3. We have a 3. 3. Wow, okay. Just a moment, I will take the photo. I took before that. Now I fill it with orange. Okay, go on.
Okay. The drawing is the
Suddenly
order.
you have a lot of inspiration.
Oh,
You were
yeah.
stuck, and now
Everything was in my mind, but I
So you
am
have the
still
bottom paper.
struggling with
Okay.
the
okay,
expression.
go on, go on.
Yeah.
Expression. This is expressionistic. Expression.
The order is not in the right
Go
order.
on, go on. Tell what
First-
is only. Don't explain everything because we
Okay.
never end. What you think is important.
Oh, this is my main image, main mood of my project, and I
A bit
thought,
dark.
not the color,
not so-
not the.
so much dark.
This is also very bright place because, yeah, you can see the sky. Anyway. So this place,
Yes.
what I was intended, you guys can remember all the bubbles of the Maronier Park.
Yeah,
That can
they
be-
already imitated.
Yeah,
it.
extended.
Too much on the open.
So my building can embrace all the bubbles of the park. And so that's why this are the embracing things. And here I made an entrance, which is ramp. And I found out that there's a very large, not large, but boundary on this line between the Maroni Park and our site. And I wanted to erase this boundary by not making transparent layer between those park and the building. And that was the idea of this, making a transparent layer by slope to the basement and relationship between all the inside out and something. And then I thought that maybe this would erase the authority of the original entrance.
Come on,
So
there is no authority and when interest. There is there's just a shape.
yeah, the shape.
Maybe it is rigid, but not so rigid. Okay, whatever. So you just soften it.
Yeah, so soften it and also remaining it and making the
So what happens here
this
and there?
this is my extension. And also here goes to the basement, and I thought that it'll be nice if the slope will continue to the Maroni Park like Pompidou Center. And also I have Michelangelo too here. And this is the thinking of shape because this seemed unnatural for me. So I made the experience experiment. And this would be the entrance from the park
But this is
to the
section.
basement. Yes, this is section. This is
Okay.
the elevation from the park, which I remain the entrances to the building, but also to the basement, which is going under. And also I am thinking of making more extension on this side. And I'm still working on it because this side was my main part.
What is this?
This drawing is the drawing you can remember from my image drawing, the chemistry.
Yes.
And this part would be the chemistry part. I wanted to order it that can have some layer between the programs.
The chemistry is most interesting. Chemistry is exciting.
This one?
Yes, it has some kind of character.
Yeah.
So
And-
which kind of overlaps with those things, right? Because this looks like a very much arranged. This looks a bit more random. So I think that balance between randomness and order is something you could try to keep.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then you have the final program.
Yeah.
How big is your building?
Oh, what's up?
Okay. How much does your building weight, Mr. Foster? You know that. The famous question that Mr. Fuller made, Norman Foster. Mr. Fuller, the genius engineer, speaking Foster, how much does your building weight? I was like, what? The weight of my building. And then he made a full documentary with that title, which, by the way, is not so great. So it's a bit on the smaller side. Right? So one thing is when you make some extensions is why do you need extension and what is going to go in that extension? Because you're doing some underground, which could be, but you didn't say why you need underground. Just mostly because of the connection with the square. But I think making underground just makes one more barrier and really join in.
So,
Actually, this drawing makes this boundary even more patent. It's not really embracing. I would think to have something which brings more continuity in this area.
so that's why I thought
The section, even so, but the section is also kind of ends here. So this connects a little bit with the Pompidou square, right?
Yeah.
But then you have to make a full basement inside the building. And the question is, how necessary is it? Because that is possible, but it will be mostly one space. You have to excavate under existing building to get one space, which will have only north vision, not so much from the south, will be kind of, you enlarge the existing basement, that could be a one vision, right? But not really creating much more useful space. So right now the basement is very low. Okay, and make it larger. Then you will have to work with the existing structure to work under the existing foundation. That could be. You'll not have much freedom because that basement is not so nicely done, but still you can work with it. The question is, you get the same space, but a bit improved with a lot of effort. So the question is, it's so necessary, so much better with it. And you're changing the whole aspect of the facade. The building becomes much higher, right? So you have to deal very hard with this area. So I'm not saying not. Sometimes I would say practically not. This could be, but I'm a bit puzzled. You need to have a really strong reason so you can carry this design to the end. Otherwise, you will try to cheat yourself to make things easy because that's quite complicated thing to do. Okay, but I want your comment. So Mim, tell everybody. So what? Say so. Yes. Yes.
Well, for me, I like you said that try to go to like 3 years.
What?
So,
Trying to go to, I didn't hear.
so the underpart, the chemistry part is kind of like it has a order or something, and the upper part has a lot of freedom. For me, I like the beginning because well, I don't know.
Say it in Korean and then Jessa will translate. You'll get 5 extra points with the translation.
이 건물 자체가 결국에는 그 대칭적인 그런 엄청난 수치 존재하지 않기 때문에 그 자유로움이 훨씬 더그 뭐라 해야 되지 그 부분과 연관되어 있다고 할까? 부분이 그러니까 그 건물이 그 비대칭적인
약간 좀 더 유기적으로
그치.
비대칭적으로 된 거.
그거에 대한 연관성이 더 있을 것 같아서 오히려 자유로움이 더 좋지 않을까라는 게 내 의견입니다.
지금은 자유롭지 않고.
아니, 지금도 자유로운데 이제 교수님 의견은 이제 조금 더 이제 규칙적인 거를 이제 같이 넣는 그런 의미인데 나는 자유로운 게 조금 더 좋은 것 같다.
So his idea is what he finds like charming of this existing building is a little bit of symmetry kind of thing. It's formal, but it has a lot of informal and not symmetrical points in it. And his idea was maybe improving on that, like taking further steps, making it a bit
Elaborate
more
on that.
decomposed. That would make it a bit more interesting. And sorry, I didn't hear your comments all together, but he said it's like another option.
You have many options.
But I found out that this building was quite more symmetrical than unsymmetrical. So that's why I tried to make it my extension
Okay,
naturally,
so,
yeah.
pretty much, and whatever we do, we'll break the symmetry for sure because we are adding elements
Yeah.
to react. So that you understand the point. I say so the extension is not very clear because right now you're working just on the abstraction of the building itself and the site, but not really how this relates to the program. And I think there's a moment in which, so we have, Steve has clear what, except for the toilets, everybody has its place. Maybe things move around. So this is an extreme case, right? But
Yeah.
it's like the extreme of the opposite.
Yeah, and actually this color, I wanted to show the people who are here for work, which will be artists and citizens. And this cave would be artist cave. And maybe people can, yeah, that's what
But
I
again,
was
that's-
thinking.
Right, so I think you need to pick some order. And the order probably is not arranging this. If the chemistry was interesting because chemistry has its own logic, right? Chemistry is like the same as astronomy. The galaxies have also their logic. You can pick think big or small, but you cannot break it. If you try to arrange things, this is kind of a macroscopic universe in which we shape things and we make them nice, right? But chemistry or galaxies have their own logic. You cannot break it. They need to have their balance, and they keep changing all the time. So probably this has to do with the program itself, right? So now you have to decide what goes in the building, and then it's very important. Really, you need this gesture here. I think you have to elaborate in this diagram because here, really, if you go across the street or across the class, the boundary is more clear than before. This is what the model was not showing, for example, or the old photo of the soldier did not show. It was much more unified, and this building was much more comfortable in the full extension. So you don't, without needing of this gesture. But this is great. So this is a very unique way of working, but you can be expressionist. But you can look back at the Germans we saw in the drawing lecture because they work very much in this way. And we all know this building is about arcs, right? With some discipline, we have like mainly two kinds of arcs, maybe subtypes of some, but the big entrance and then the windows. And you're adding one more. Maybe you can elaborate. This looks like more like the laboratory on the door arc more than in the windows, right? So that they're making actually it's almost the same size, right? So you could make your projects kind of a research on the arc as a structural, as just giving a screen, as access, as barrier, without complicating so much because you don't have, so the building is not so complex either. Right? So you play with the arc as kind of compositional theme. There are examples of this kind of architecture.
Right.
Yes.
I would like to see your sketch. I remind me the Graffita in Cordoba. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you motivated?
No, not at all. But now I can see the corridor.
Yes, but I don't think that's the point. But could be, right? Because Cordoba is mostly interior space and very regular. So the change comes from the perspective. This is like adding layers to an existing building. So I would play with these arcs and the new ones you make. The moment you make them higher, you're breaking the proportion, right?
Yeah.
But you play with the proportion. So you have many things to work around. And then you're making them smaller. So this could be, then you have the same comment as we had with the Hyunjong before. This is probably the same or similar operation of adding masses in that diagonal. Maybe you're going already almost crossing the street, right? Because probably the street is on there.
Yeah.
So the comments are the same as the Hyunjong. This is really inviting, is really creating the space because this is very spontaneous drawing, right? You have limitations. So work with the arcs, assume them. It's not easy, but assume this as kind of a structure, space definition, design subject, because it kind of works. But then try to see how the site intention, the chemistry, and the program can fit in this idea. Okay, so you organize a bit more. And don't try to make things, I think this could work, this is nice, but there's not chemistry anymore. Here you'll have to work hard because this is kind of not really like molecules, but it's really like crystals of 1 mineral.
Yeah.
This kind of software. You can work in that sense.
I wanted to bring art because of the randomness that I can't handle, but then it became so great.
But still, you can have kind of a very subtle randomness, which is also okay. And those elements can rotate because that's so just kind of movement. Here everything is parallel, but those arcs, right, can be in different directions. Also, I can have solids and courtyards in between. So you can have a succession of voids and solids, or maybe courtyards with arcs and without arcs. You can get inspiration, not Cordoba, but probably Alhambra is right. And any of the really like Mid-East small old towns, because actually old towns have, I'm thinking now in Marrakesh, because I was there just before the pandemic. But streets are tiny, right? But they have entrances and you have courtyards, right, on the houses with the dark accesses. And then the streets become a small square with a small market. So you have like a succession of really corridors and voids. And it's hard to know if you are in one house. And those spaces are usually with arcs, right? So they have this kind of arcade system.
So this is in Alhambra?
Alhambra is one thing. Alhambra and also kind of I put Marrakesh, but
okay.
But could be any kind of Marrakesh, Morocco. Alhambra is designed, so it's larger scale, but it's kind of succession of courtyards. Marrakesh is more natural because it is a small town with a large town. And suddenly you have a huge opening. It's good. And the opening is like the market square, in which it is empty sometimes, but as soon as the sun rises, you have the market going there. And at night, it's a place for food. And you have the rounds going there because many of things they put in market is snakes. So I was taking photos like all good architects and almost step on one of those because it's the market on the floor, right? So you have to be careful where you step. But and everything is mixed. It's really messy. But there's an order there, and it's nice to see like the squares, courtyards, alleys make this kind of maybe not so messy, but this kind of structure which has also kind of structure itself. Okay.
Okay.
That's nice. Get some order there. You have to move fast. Oh, already 5:30. Tea time. Are we able to finish today? And now that we are here, Yvonne, Yvonne is the French name.
Yeah, it's French.
Alors, tu personne en français?
Je n'ai pas. I try to make the balance fixed so I could start precisioning all my programs. And this is what I first worked with, but then I realized I didn't have enough space for circulation, like stairs and ramps and the elevator. Oh. And so I decided to make a bigger extension just for the purpose of circulation. And the reason why I put this here is that I initially put the bathrooms here, but
About what here, sorry?
What?
About? I didn't hear you.
Oh,
You thought about bathrooms?
yeah,
Okay. Okay,
but
okay, go on, go on.
like I know that it's better if in the building the bathrooms are positioned in the same spot in every floor.
Don't get obsessed with that.
Okay,
That makes
that
sense,
is
but
fine.
don't get
But
obsessed. But
yeah, I kind of got obsessed with that yesterday. So I was just trying to think where the best place to put the bathroom is. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's creative because I just did studies on dimensions so I could fit things in here. But then I also did, because I worked with these four, but then I kind of felt trapped in my own thing. So I kind of gave myself some more options, but I think I need to work more on where's the actual best spot to place these, because these were more, they were not intentional. I would say they were more instinct for me to like put there because they looked more balanced.
okay,
Yeah.
so I can follow it. Tell us about this section.
This is just to show how the spaces would be used. It's not really
Can you point the madams in the section?
basically these three. I have four, but I'm not sure about that one yet. But this
So
one,
I don't see the blue is madam.
yeah. So these two, for example, are here, and then as you can see, there's a void. So if you're situated in this position, you can clearly see what's going on
There's a
downstairs.
void, but inside the building, but
Yeah.
you don't see the sky there.
No, because the top ones have different uses, which I named them as, they're gonna be open spaces, but they can be used as whatever the building or whatever the users feel they need to use for. So they can have different uses. And this one is the T area.
So you have very clear dimensions. It's the 8.7, but by 8.7. You have the dimensions here.
Yeah,
8.7 by 8.7.
Yeah. and then the top one is just a small
But
gallery.
in the section,
or-
it looks smaller than in the plan. Or it's different. It's different scale. Because I assume this is this thing here.
Oh, and
It's not.
yeah, I think it's different.
It's different scale.
Yeah,
Why?
I
Don't do
know.
that.
Yeah.
They're always at the same scale, otherwise we get all confused. So if this is even bigger, it should be like this. At
Yeah.
least.
Yes.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so nice to see one section, but again, you're very much on the diagrammatic side, but it's nice to see energy and things. This is very much checking sizes and position, right? There's no design at all. Again, the plans are much clear, much better than the section. And at every stage, you should have some balance, because we insist, or I insist, the madam we will understand in section. In plan, it looks okay. In section, they look very narrow and very tall and very stuffy, not very madam-ish. So something you have to work with. And the other thing is, this makes very clear the need of a very good section base drawing, not the one you're using. Because what's the point of replicating all the foundations here? It's totally meaningless, just wasting time. We know this is like a solid ground, very heavy. And then we know this is a roof, but since you didn't draw any line, I don't know if you're really removing the roof or not. So it's very confusing. So with the same care, rigor, you work in the plans to the section. And we always make sections by putting the sketch over the plan, right? So you need this drawing only to get in the lines of the floor, maybe the structure, and then you just put the sketch paper over the plan. Right? Just over, and you start just checking in section how they are. And the same, we think, we say that one only floor plan can draw all the floors. You can have several sections in this line because you can make this space in the front and then check how is the back volume, right, with different transparencies. And then you see the whole volumes of the building in section as you see here in plan, right? This section says very little. Looks like it's done in a hurry just to reach the class time. And this is not, so the scale surely is wrong. This is not 1 to 200, maybe 150 or one somewhat. But look, that section has a lot of noise, a lot of information we don't need. It's not bad building. Okay. So more comments. This is great. So you can do this also for the, especially for those cores, for those not cores, these medals. So I would expect if you know already 1.3, but 1.3, it's very square, just to find out the ideal height. The most common is to think on cubes, right? Because 8 meters, like 2 floors, get a nice height, but could be higher, could be smaller. But at least if you start with squares, think on also squares in elevation and see how they work. But suddenly they have no proportion. So the mood changes a lot over there. But so keep working. So the next step is to, once you have more or less the organization, you try to define a bit more and start considering windows and accesses, because the building is not just lines, but you need to get a bit the mood of the building. You don't need so much detail at this stage. Of course, everybody, sometimes you need to get distracted. It's kind of relaxing because you don't need to think here. You have to learn that the work is there. Okay, and what this is, oh, this one. But this is another mode of drawing. I miss a little bit this kind of, but this has energy. And I think most interesting is the one you show in the bottom, because here you are thinking, and probably you could have spent a bit more time here and checking again 4 floors. But see, this is like a very usual. We keep all the time checking sizes. Then you could explain why 8.7 against 8.3, right? It's a very subtle difference, right? You must have a reason for that. Maybe not. Okay, don't need to explain now, but you might explain. But there should be a reason for that, because that's very subtle difference. And this is very, very exact. You know that the building was originally dimensioned in can. In that can. Can is no can. Can. Right. This is this one, right? Which is in centimeters. How much does it measure?
30.3 or 3 or 3 or 3.
30.3 or 33.
No, it's 30. It's reciprocal.
Right. So it's
30.3033.
it's about 1 foot, right?
Yep.
Japanese foot, which is very big. Spanish foot is 28 centimeters. It's very much. Spanish foot is smaller. And American foot is a bit bigger. How is the Romanian foot? Surely you have an old foot dimension. Come on, you have the Romans there, so they have for sure the Roman foot. Well, this is mostly forgotten, but in 1930 they were using all dimensions, and then all dimensions are exact. You can have, so you can have 2 sets of dimensions in the same building. Okay, questions?
Yeah. These are, so if you like this is 8,720.
Yes.
So I took the exact measurement and then moved it a little bit. And
Okay.
same for this. All of them are measurements from the building
Okay.
to, you know,
Okay,
is that
so
enough
this is-
reason why, or
Well,
doesn't mean-
that's a reason, but we should know why. And actually, you are playing with the volume below, right? Then,
Mhm.
but you know that those extensions are quite casual. So
Mm.
the main dimensions are the ones in the front and the width as I told them. But of course, this is a possibility. Right? So same as working with the arcs as a motif and also as dimensions, you can work with that dimension also.
Mm.
Yeah, in a scale. But then you have to make sure that really fits the purpose of the space you're creating, because maybe you may find some other dimension around which you can use, or some real elements. Because this is also this is the most clear dimension the one you access. And this, when you make right dots, it's clearer. This everywhere is like a little bit out of place. It's very big, very much as put there, and has not any relation with the Madans or with the existing building. Maybe you need it there, but maybe it's not a core, maybe it's something in between Madans or something just remaining not like a big rectangle there. I would think a bit, because that breaks a little bit the mood of the project. Look at the Hyunjong first try with that yellow, and then the second try, which is broken but has a bit more scale. This is what is happening here yet. Needs to be a bit more shaped or conceived within the mood of the project. Okay. Okay, good, great. Are we able to go in a row to the remaining ones?
Yeah.
Pali, let's go. No complaint. So
I think there's a
Maya.
oh, Maya.
아니요.
Oh yes, and probably we need to put electricity also,
Oh.
because it will just stop. 30% is like zero. It will just switch off at any moment without. That happened the other day in building systems lecture. A bit more. Perfect. Just 1 second. I didn't of those.
Like I'm presenting. I mean, you know. It's weird. Exactly.
It's better like that. No. That's perfect. Deconstruction. Okay. Okay, Maya.
Yeah, so
What?
the order actually goes like this and then like this.
So it's
But-
like a right to left.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
it
like-
was supposed to be left to right, but then Jess took all of my space.
But you know the original drawings, the drawings of the Gyeongseong there were written everything right to left. So you're following the style of.
Yeah. It was all intentional, yeah.
Okay, okay. So we start there. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So say the important things.
Okay, so I mean,
the ones you are a bit stuck in.
initially I like wanted to experiment more with like the squares and the things in the existing world, but I ended up not liking what happened, or yeah, any of the things that came out of that. So I started also experimenting with like how to organize the different private spaces so that they're not looking at each other, and how the circulation like has to go, like has access to all of them, but also must not be seen by all the spaces and things like that. Then I
Yeah,
was
in that sense, Alhambra, Marrakesh was a good thing because they already have the system privacy.
Mm.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, and then I was thinking of your idea the other day to use the gap or the overlap of the building to put in some nature that's more private, because the nature around the building will also be used by the public. So in that sense, it'll be more distracting and less pleasant to use as meditation space. And I was trying to go back to my landscaping, and then I figured out that there's, I
It
mean,
became almost everybody's landscaping.
yeah. So this entrance already has like this sort of intention that I'm going for, just on a bigger scale. So I was thinking of combining this with the landscaping and just extending it more into the square. But I don't know, because like the height difference is quite big, so there would have to be a lot of layers. So I was thinking of that. And then also how, yeah, the landscaping would continue into the, to define the rooms inside, so that even though the curves disappear, like when you go into the space, you would understand that it continues. And I was thinking of, yeah, keeping the curvature of the extension in the plan, but not in the section, because even if you look at the, yeah, the layers, even though from the top view they're very curvy and free, like from a section they still look like stairs. So I was thinking of keeping that
It's
geometry.
kind of extrusions. You mean,
Yeah,
but you got just okay.
I was thinking of keeping that geometry also with the extension, but it's still less defined because I don't know, we spent a lot of time on this and then didn't have time to develop that much. But yeah, so I was also thinking of the yeah, again, how to arrange these meditation spaces to, like, again, like be oriented towards the north and the east, because that's the two directions that are usually considered in meditation spaces. So I was thinking of having the extension in this part, but then I was
This
also,
is the east side of the building. Say,
yes,
right.
the east and yeah, the north.
So what? So this area to keep it more active, more noisy.
Yeah, in this area would be more. So yeah, it's
Actually, this is interesting because
mm,
the moment, well, this is like playing with the building, but this has kind of structure. It's a little bit near the chemistry.
yeah, right. Like I like this diagram, but then I didn't know how to develop it well.
Well, yes,
Or-
because probably it's not in the proper place, because then you're doing things on the side, but this is also
Yeah,
landscape. And this is interesting also. So maybe you don't need to put many things.
mm,
So probably very simple, but very carefully prepared volumes are enough. So this is interesting in abstract, but probably even without the business, you could move around that much. This is also nice. You could have the choice to be a bit more minimalistic, which is more difficult. But there's opportunity to push yourself to do a small thing with much care, right?
very
And
clear
then
intention, yeah.
still the curvature, I think, is not controlled, maybe because you spend more time in that,
Yeah.
which is okay. And probably you might not need so many of that, because this is like an alternative to the squares, right? So here the extension will be like a wavy, but cut. This is a possibility. But you will have to decide. So wavy is nice. The problem with the wavy is how you solve this kind of disadjustments, and so how you solve the accesses and the rooms inside if you have some rooms, which there's a way of doing that. This is one of the difficulties. Then there's ways of building and detailing, so you can work with it. Right? But probably it's basically the same idea, just with the square, with the wavy possibility. But I think it's most interesting. And in this case, they have kind of an interesting scale. It's a little bit small, but there's something interesting there. Okay, comments to Maya? Well, a lot of energy, and nice to see you drawing so much, because once you draw, you need to draw more. Right? So that's the process. And look, we still have 11 more weeks or 10 more weeks, 10 weeks, 10 weeks. 10 weeks left. 10, right? This is the last end of week 6. Yeah. So we have 10 weeks left. We have to hurry. Okay, so there's the moment also to start checking the size on the program, not to work on in abstract. So when you have the proper size, you will have, as you see everywhere, you have the size. You have to take decisions which may help you in whichever position you are, right? In whichever idea you follow. Maybe you can still consider both. Comments to Maya? I see you very quiet. So those waves. So Sangjun. Donuts to guitar. You have a responsibility, so come on, you have always nice suggestions and ideas. Just huh? Okay. So do you have any question or something you're, well, I see you're stuck with the selections, but I think you can go both ways, or even you can try to unify, but I see more control now in the square, which is logic. But still, maybe it's something subtle, because this small gesture also is nice. It's a very nice balance there. Okay, so my suggestion, just try to make sure you already control the program position and the sizes. That will help you to, because then you'll have to work on the circulation. As we commented with just so circulation is more than just the arrows. It has really a system of how you move around the building. And for the healing center, you need to be careful because you will have like a changing rooms and you have like rooms where you bath. So that's really complicated. And you need a lot of space for those intermediate elements there. You will need more than just toilets.
Right.
Okay, good. Great.
Thank you.
So from this side, it is complete. So we have 3 left.
There's William, I think.
Yes, we have 1, 2, 3, I think. 4 left. Okay, Connie. You.
Go.
And it will not. This is instantly 42. That means 30 what I can set up. Maybe at the distance. I think it's okay.
So
Just a second, because I have to take my digital memory of Maya's work. Okay, so you have
okay, let me take fast. Okay.
1 minute.
Yeah. Then okay, so I think you accept my program and the reason one to suggest museum and the workshop was stress and visual art in here because it's district cultural district area, but I want to give more diversity. And second reason was they have many single.
The best idea is the Michelangelo 3 volts. That's fantastic.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
So you have 3 volts
Yeah.
for 3 kinds of music simultaneously.
Oh yeah. And
So how do you do it?
so I want, so I'm more focused on the refurbish our buildings because this.
Everybody is doing that.
Yeah.
But we have to do more than that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I found that the round one, I think it's things more like mobile and
Yes, okay, we agree.
so I want to give some stair on here so people can work on here.
Well,
And
that could be, but you know, that's very small stair. And you have a lot of structural things going on, so it will be not easy to put a stair there.
okay, then I'll.
We can move around, but I don't see, it's possible, but I'm not sure it's the best solution.
Okay.
But again, the movement is okay.
Okay.
So.
And actually, I draw this after I draw the plan because and for this I want to.
Yes, this is the most interesting you have today. So
okay, so I want to give I want to express this on mass. This building they want to express their identity. So when I give more messages and give some rhythm or give some more space for this, then maybe they have expressed their own character in the
okay, but
yeah.
But that should appear in plans. So
yeah.
You didn't go to that step.
Yeah. So
Yes,
it's pity because I draw after this and
right.
And this also I draw after the bark one because I think.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So that's okay. The same thing I commented before. at this stage you have so much detail. Drawing without windows is a bit weird because you're speaking, this is a gallery or this is, and we don't see how this relates to the outside. Not even the door. Come on.
Okay.
This is as easy as just raising the hand from the paper and continuing later. It's not any effort. So at this stage, you need the windows. You're opening doors, then it's very weird to see this is all void. Tell me this is white or this, but altogether it's very strange way of opening. But what is beautiful about this? That's very weird to say. This is interesting gallery, but you're making a gallery without daylight at all.
Oh, right.
Why?
Uh,
Well, there used to be in Tokyo art gallery for the blind. And the building still exists, but it's not longer that. So maybe they didn't have long business. Now it's kind of still a gallery, but it's interesting the concept of art gallery for the blind. So it was very easy to access and very easy to move around. It's just mostly sculpture, and so you could just kind of the art by texture, by touch, right? But still, it has very beautiful natural light. Because sometimes the blind have some kind of sensitivity to light, so they cannot see in detail, but they can still appreciate the path, right? So even the gallery for the blind had tape light.
okay.
And you're in a very nice floor. Toilet makes sense, and actually it works well, but again, you can have natural ventilation, or maybe not in this case because, but okay. Actually, this toilet is not this is not uncomfortable there as a toilet. Still, this works there, but this is the lower floor, right? Well, here I'm not so sure, right? This is kind of doing something different, but it pops suddenly, and here you're already designing without really program or anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you need to go back to the context and to your program to see if you really need this. Doesn't work very much. I understand this some kind of a movement around there, so could be right. This kind of a circulation space around there, right? Probably around there. So this is nice. I don't get this, and the toilet.
Yeah.
This is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to cross to the toilet and come back, so everybody knows you went to the toilet and to come back. Come on, the toilet over there is uncomfortable. Yeah, ladies' toilet is a very awkward place. Come on, it's uncomfortable for everybody. And JCON, the one which disappeared, engineering building number 2, had a beautiful building. We demolished because it was old. But categorized stairs. So the stair space was so beautiful that we used to make the final presentations there, because you could sit on the stairs, you could see the cherry blossoms from the stair, and then the tampon, the red leaves. So it's a beautiful place. And we made the final presentations there. But it was the latest toilet next to it. So you have the final presentation with girls going on. And it was a bit awkward also. So the position of the toilets and how do you connect to them is so important. You may destroy a beautiful space with it. Okay. So a bit more realistic here. In terms of proportion, kind of work. Right? And this is quite interesting, but I wish you'd elaborate it. And when you come to this, you can go even higher than the existing building. So maybe we'll not make a tower, but we don't need to always stick to the same height. This is also for you because sometimes it looks like you're going a bit higher, lower. You could at some point go. So if you are crossing the existing building with a bridge, why don't you go a bit over, a bit under?
I am in the.
Okay, but yes, but then I was a bit puzzled with the section, right? Okay, maybe
It's the highest point.
A. Okay, so but you can be a bit more radical in that sense. Okay.
Yep.
Questions?
Oh, actually, I put this elevator on here, but is it accessible?
Elevators are a pain. Maybe not the best place because you have a nice view here. It's too much close to the entrance. What we commented with just the other day, people wait on the elevator. I have the main entrance there. It's not a very good place to put the elevator. And then people get out in bursts. So it's always something disturbing. You need always some kind of the space.
Mm.
So here the elevator is not bad. You have a lobby which is only for the elevators. You never cross with anybody else.
Oh, and actually, the main entrance was here to go in without with lamps. So I want to walk.
That still doesn't make sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So this could be, but you enter this wall actually, even you can have some visual connection if you have to move around. So going around is okay, but this still doesn't work. So maybe some people make the stair like this,
Oh.
and that works also. But that's that tiny stair. Everybody who did the stair. Yeah, Steve. Too small. Yours is like a 4 times this size. So this could be kind of service step, not for the services, not for this building. It's impossible.
Okay.
More questions? Okay, size is okay. Then you have to see the plan in detail. Okay. Is all you have to ask?
Yep.
I think this is still a very good idea.
Okay.
I think it works. Because that connects with the music. What is the music? What happened to the music? Uma, what did I saw?
I think about more about this.
Actually, it's kind of musical. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
like-
It's kind.
Hey,
yeah. I
I
really.
told it.
Oh,
I asked it.
Steve. I told Steve and Chesil. No. Yesterday when I wrote it.
Okay, okay. But I said, I asked it to you, and I had to say it. Okay,
Okay.
so 2 points down. Yana, we were forgetting you because you were so quiet today.
I have nothing to say, so.
Okay, so that's
Also,
it's like getting caught by the police.
I just have nothing to say because
I say nothing but my lawyer.
because I'm in the thinking process. I don't think that.
But this one
if I
has
have
so much
nothing-
meditation here.
Yeah, but it's for like I'm thinking doesn't mean that every
Okay.
critic
Okay.
have something to say.
Yeah, but actually this is interesting. So this is like a very much seems you're working with Maya.
I think we're just having the same the same project.
Oh, but then they are different. But this is very much working aside. And then, if I were you, I would forget about this pavilion because surely you will make better. But it's nice you remove the theater there.
I wish we're down, but it's
They have bigger elevation.
yeah bigger elevation the settings. But
Okay, and this is like putting the program around.
yeah, I'm thinking about the plan and.
Okay.
and
What? Well, I cannot say yet. So you have water. Water is a good idea. And probably some places, the good thing of water is you can expand as much as you want without much problem. So you can change the scale with water.
Okay.
In that case, that Alhambra, Marrakesh, and so on, well, any kind of Mid-East Islamic architecture has a lot of water. The climate is not so. You have water in Korean architecture, but it's more like a pond in the south. So you know the Confucian ponds, which are square with a round island in the center, which is kind of symbolic of the earth and heaven, kind of ideal. You might want to give a reference or be a bit more practical, like the Islamic gardens in which the water is just for climate control, which here in Korea doesn't work. But I see a lot of meditation together, a lot of things on the other side. Probably may have a bit more, such as kind of alternancy of quiet and more practical spaces, even if it's all meditation related. Well, it's very abstract, right? But that kind of, this such as some kind of alternance of the quiet and the more dynamic spaces, or more practical and more ideal spaces. When I see so much meditation together, I don't get the image of that. Probably you may have, and if you have some space in between, that might help to give more value. So the case we commented of Alhambra, the courtyards, to go from one courtyard to the other, you have to go to a smaller labyrinth, and it's dark, and then suddenly have a view of the landscape, and then suddenly you go again back to the courtyard, and that may give some kind of the experience of the space to have some kind of variation of the experiences, something we can use. Le Corbusier was a master of that, but he had traveled so much, he had a lot of repertoire of the spaces he visited. And then he did very well because every step you go, you find something and you continue walking and you continue seeing things which are interesting. And probably when you accumulate things in one point, it will not work so much. Okay. Anything you want to ask?
No.
Nothing to say, nothing to ask?
Yes.
Anything you say can be used against you.
Yes.
So,
Oh, that's so true.
That's so true.
that's so true. Okay.
Thank you.
This is always Professor Fabio, who's very wise. Santiago, don't talk anymore. Don't talk anymore. Be silent. Good. So going this way, we have Panchanim. Panchanim.
Yes.
Maya, I want you near him because you have something to say. You have another guitar, another donut. Sanjun? Yes, better that way. Yes. So what happens with the donuts here? So you have all the program detail already. Make it just clean and clear so I can read it.
Okay.
You know, as for me, I have to come here to see the letters. I'm a bit old. Hate to say it, but I have difficulty reading it small. So I can see it, I can check. Correct. So this is important, I check. Program is not something will be very, very strict, but I have to check if something strange that happens there. And for that, I need to spend some time checking what you are planning. If you don't do it, you may have surprises later. So when you have the list, let me see it and think about it. So you have this kind of, this is Asplund zooming. At some point, it's like a Boulder. Boulder.
Boulder?
Boulder. Louis Etienne Boulder.
Ah, Boulder.
Newton's.
Mm.
Right? Because it appears like a section, okay, Newton's sonata. Here's, you know the project, right? The kind of a spherical come from Newton, kind of grandiose. Can I draw here?
Yes.
So, so the building is like this, right? So part is underground, you have to go up and then you go down. And this is like enormous. So you have the light coming there. It's kind of bubble almost going out of Earth. So this, I thought this was a section.
Oh.
But then you have geometries. So you're in the same stage as Maya and Unjin with the chemistry. Okay, say something so we can follow you, because I see you're trying, but I don't quite get the point.
Well, so the chemistry part, the circular parts, are supposed to be the extensions that are for like the main library, the music room, music DVD rooms, and a study room. So those three will be the extensions.
This was a language library.
Yeah.
What music, just for the songs?
Oh, because since it is a language library, usually language.
You have Beatles and something like that.
Huh?
You have the Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can listen also. So.
Okay, so this is one thing which is okay, but it's important. You don't lose the focus on the uniqueness of your program. Otherwise, we have a lot of libraries which are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not just the shapes you put there, it's what happens inside. Right. If you have just the lecture rooms, classrooms, and ateliers and reading rooms, it's just a general library. Okay, go on.
And
so you have the existing building and 3 bubbles mostly.
Yeah.
One bubble there, but it's higher, or 3 cubes. Okay. So what is happening in that? Okay, talk. I'm interrupting you. I have many questions, so reply them before I ask.
Actually, I kind of forgot where I was. So what was
I interrupted you. You were in the DVD, the music library, and so the music and the listening rooms.
Oh yeah. So these 3 extensions would be the part for that makes the English library. The existing parts would be a forum, lounge, summon part, and this part. This part will be the places that for toilets, storage, kind of like a thing that is between this main and these 3. And I'm still not sure about the shape, but I just tried.
Obviously.
Yeah,
Okay, and you spoke a lot about circulation and movement.
yeah,
So can you say a little bit, because I see how do you come in,
yeah.
but I don't see how you move
Oh,
around.
so I was
You can
thinking
use this if you want. If you don't use it. If you want, you use it.
yeah, I'll use it.
You get 30.
I can wash it. So I was thinking of the main circulation as this. So the main
This is
library
the
would
top
be
floor.
yeah,
This is the main floor in the middle.
yeah. This is the second main floor,
Right, so it's the main floor.
and this is the third
So-
floor.
So explain the main floor, which is the more complex. It seems like it's like the main floor, right? So how do you move around there? So you enter from the center,
Yeah, you entered from the center.
and then how do you move?
Well, I was thinking of putting the main library on the third floor. This will be just
You have to
another
go up.
going to go up. Yeah. So you have to go up around like this. You can also go down like this to
What
enter the bottom.
is the green
This is outside.
exterior?
Yeah, exterior
So that's
Which is why-
floating, like to float
Yeah, it's
above the
floating.
ground.
to the third floor. So I was thinking of using this main spot as a circular ramp and circular movements.
Okay,
The main
and
movements.
then, so you enter and you see one ramp going up and you go up. and
Yeah.
You enter the reading space. And if you go to the sides, what do you find?
You find a study room. You find the music DVD room, toilets, and this will be the lounge where
So-
people sit or read.
But the books are upstairs.
Yeah, the books are upstairs.
So you have to go down with your book and read there.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, and that was the first trial. So you have section and elevation, and
Yeah,
then
this
you did
these were all
everything.
the first trials I tried.
And what about the
trying to
cubes?
reach. Oh, well, I was kind of like, I didn't know if a circular or round one would be nice or a cube, like where you, like there's a point edge would be nice. And well, I thought that it would be nice to give a gentle touch. So like, what, like a gentle touch to come inside, something like that.
You know, those the set of drawings is interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's like the working process and just thinking around. And this is very nice. Those three are very rough.
Yeah.
So I would say the same I said Sanjun, but even more.
Mhm.
So Sanjun, those two sketches are really full of thought and possibilities. Lower part is a bit in a hurry, it's like not so much successful. In this case, it's more extreme, right? I see a lot of things happening there, which could be possible. This is like done in a hurry.
Yeah, it
Don't,
was.
don't hurry.
Okay.
Don't hurry. Even if it is the last minute before the submission, it's better to have something which is really deep and suggesting than something done in a hurry, which just messes up everything.
Okay.
Okay, so everything is rough here, so I wouldn't show this. You can see almost the same here, and I can
Yeah.
imagine more.
It was the same thing, but
So you see, Hyunjin is very clever. He never gave us exact position. Everything is
mm,
changing shape, and we can see the thinking. This is more or less convincing at times, but we are clear he's just experimenting and looking around, right? So when you do this, this is very precise.
okay.
And this is confusing because it looks like a shade, but is this some space you use? I would just question it. Everything here is a bit, well, this is the line there, so I'm not so sure, but so circles are very strong.
Yeah.
Because they are self-referring. Either you multiply them as in the park,
Mhm.
and then they just compensate each other, you have succession, right? Or you break them a little bit and soften.
Mhm.
So we have, every year we have the circular space in the project. And the worst position is at the center because it becomes so central, so formal that everything,
Yeah,
it's
it's
some
so
option, but the moment you move around, and probably the scale is a little bit big. This here it looks huge, probably to the scale.
Mhm.
So I worry a little bit about the scale of the circle itself. Here it seems a bit more broken.
yeah,
If you break the, can I get it back? So if you have the circle and you break into bits, right?
Yeah, that
For
was the
whichever
main
reason.
part.
And then you have some interaction with the building,
Mhm.
and then disappears at some point, as you suggest there.
Yeah,
Then becomes a bit softer.
but I don't have the exact design yet, so
Yes, but
Yeah, I
it
think
is
so.
exactly in the same way. And this is what I'm a little bit the design,
Mhm.
right? But here you see much more than there. This is why before you reach this point, you have to work a bit more. You have the full elevation there.
Yeah.
So work more in that sense. And now you have the slices, so you can work less in abstract.
okay,
But I have to check them.
okay.
Okay. I would question such a huge element just on the air. If you make the section, it's one of the few going higher than the existing building. He's going higher, one floor higher, the only one. Brave guy. So you have the access, right? With a stair. You have the main floor, right? It's more or less the section of the building now. And then you go even higher. And this much in, yeah, you go up till here, right?
Yeah.
So the space below is a bit weird. It's kind of a strange balance there.
Mhm.
So you have to be very careful with the size, the position. It will be a bit less than that, right? It could be, but very careful with this.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll be
So
careful.
probably you have different heights. This will connect to the ground. Some point you need to support this to the ground. So this is it's better than this one.
Okay.
Probably this is my finger. Also. Okay. So work more on this stage
Okay.
and together with those and put the dimensions. This is what we repeated to the others. Questions?
Well, actually about the circulation, because I was only thinking of putting ramps as the only way to go up, not elevators and stairs.
Okay, that's a good question. Only ramps, ramps and elevators, ramps and elevators and stairs, ramps and stairs. We have always that dilemma. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I think the practical, and this was the discussion we just saw, if Le Corbusier put even in small houses, ramp and stairs, there was a reason for that. So the ramp is just to have, according to Le Corbusier, to enjoy the space, to move around, and circulation seems important. So you enjoy that movement.
Yeah.
You're more accessible, slower. But the people working there every day will hate the ramp because they have to move fast from one floor to the other. And in public buildings, as it happens here, you need to bring up and down a lot of loads. So you can use the ramp for that, but elevators might help. That's your decision. Okay. So if you have a good ramp, you might not need elevator. There is, we commented to Lacatoni Vassal. They have the School of Architecture somewhere in France. And the whole building has a huge ramp. You can go anywhere from the street to the ceiling to the rooftop by car. You don't need to. So, and usually use that for meetings, for the same as in Paris, Pompidou, for sitting. But you can bring even one truck with a full size, one-to-one scale of the model, whatever, and there's no problem. So it depends. But I think they even have the elevator. I don't remember now by memory. So that's your decision.
Okay.
Okay. But I think a ramp alone does not work. Alone.
Okay. Just alone. Okay.
Circulation. You said movement is important. Circulation. And one thing I miss is the site.
Yeah.
Site. So Sanjun is a good reference. Hyunjong, whatever. Hyunjong is very much the site, but when she starts on the site and then returns to the site. Right? And that helps. That helps. Yes. He tells you. Going back to the site helps. You cannot concentrate only on the building. Good. Questions?
Other than that, no, I have no questions.
Okay. So we have a last one. Mingyan. See. I think Mingyan, I think you're the only who did not. Well, you. Oh, Sunjay, sorry, I forgot Sunjay. Sorry, Sunjay. You were so silent. Sorry, and actually I had you here, but I was so concentrated here. What are you doing?
I am
This is the best. Oh, best part.
I am thinking the program because I
Shrinking the program.
misunderstood some foreigners because I thought almost all of the foreigners can speak English well, but
Hey,
I stopped the research.
look at me.
You're good.
Who speaks English well?
Oh,
And this is after shrinking the program.
yes. So
This
I
is
am-
after shrinking the program.
the program was shrunk, but the space is larger because I am thinking about some more free spaces and try to focus on blending foreigners and local residents.
Maybe it is easier to blend foreigners and Korean than people from Cholado and Gyeongsando. No reply. That was too much.
I have program. I have a okay. I have a lot of program played in the free space, so I try to make some big lounges, and I try to make
This
some.
is a lounge 2 floors high, the whole building,
No, this is just a
Just-
high ceiling because
but this is huge.
yes, right.
It's all that.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so
So, and I try to attract people by making some artificial ponds into the Marine Park.
but it is hidden between buildings.
Oh, here is Marine Park, and
But
this
that's
is
invisible. Unless you're not here, you don't see this. From
mm,
perspective, you need to make this late at least for it to be seen.
uh
This could be from the side, but nobody will look at here.
okay.
So what does he have to say?
And
What about the section?
a section. So I try to show the penetrating some
So the arc is
in one here and one in
Yeah.
here. To make the stream in this tunnel, and this is in here because I try to attract people using this place behind the existing building.
People will go up here, and
Yes.
here's kind of narrow thing. You have to go, and we don't know what happens here.
This is some
Yes, we don't
just
know.
grass field,
don't know.
but yes.
Green people will not step on the grass.
Mm.
Okay, comments to some. Yes, look. We have to comment here on the donuts.
Donuts.
I do like this. I do like this light in a, like atrium. I very 어려웠다.
Like a 3 floors.
To connect this exhibition, this boy, to connect this and this is very hard to me. So how can you connect this way or this part and this part? I want to ask you.
So I just tried to make exhibition in very big void space and make some roof windows, and I tried to make some bridges in this space and this space in this upper
These
part.
bridges that nobody knows, only you.
Oh yes, so
Okay. And this light is
Mhm.
you're putting LED on the ceiling to have light
oh no
because there's no opening on the ceiling.
yes, sorry, I didn't.
So
yeah.
okay, so I think if you see the comments we did to Sung Min and
Right.
Sangjun,
Mhm.
you stopped here very early
Mm,
and went straight. So whatever you show here is already here.
okay.
Probably you could have done better because this is like the remaining of the
Mhm.
stage now,
Right.
which not sure is so great. But then everything like a huge lounges and empty space is like too easy.
Mm,
So you think, okay, I will just put the empty space without anything but furniture.
mhm.
and that does not guarantee people will stay there. There's enormous space. This looks like a huge ceiling, overscaled, very noisy. Does have a lot of resonance. Very near the street, a little bit hidden. So most of the things you said in the words are okay, but in reality, I don't see they work so much. So everything is like a bit off the scale. Interesting, you're doing something new, but then you're totally demolishing this part of the building, or not. Apparently, you demolish a big part of the building, which is okay, but then what you do must be much, much better than the existing.
Oh, okay.
Right. And right now, there's not even any suggestion of how you do it. So very rough. Right. So you don't have the precision of a Hyun trying to give the shapes. You have a reason for this kind of sizing of the medangs.
Right.
You have to just very fast decision. There is not clear connection. The program again. This huge launch. Why the toilet there, right? And why the cafe there? So everybody. What is the worst place for the toilet to be? I don't know. They have huge toilet. Then I see repetition in our floors, which I would question also. It's kind of very too easy. It's kind of doing department store, rental office. This is a weak program and weak process.
Okay.
It's okay to make a tunnel, but can make better. It's great to put water to do better. It is great to have lounges and pavilions, but you have to do better. This is like a much heavier on the building. And really, I don't have not even the image.
Okay.
Okay. So more control.
Okay.
And you have very nice hands, so you draw nicely by freehand. But this is like what happened to Sun Min, but with a bit more hand, better hand. Right. Better don't show this.
Okay.
So if the light comes in, we have to see how the light comes. Just put in DC and like saying nothing. Right. So everything should be already thought here. Deciding the size of the lakes, the ponds, and the extensions. And then look, this is the original building, right?
Right.
So the extension is, well, you reduce, but still it's more than the existing building.
Right.
And that could be, but it's only just to make endless lounges without and with some strange openings. So this lounge has not even windows. So you need a bit more elaboration to go there, and a clear program. Just like it too easy. Questions?
Oh, I'm trying hard to make some blend with.
You know, you don't need to say, look at the class and tell me who is not trying hard.
Sorry, but
So
I
something
have
else.
I have actually I have no idea of how to what program should be needed for foreigners with blending with Korean peoples. But
you say it now, after 6 weeks of class developing the program. So you have no idea that's a problem. Then you copy whatever program you found around. The global village and the global center is not enough, but that gives you some. But just the launch alone will not work.
Okay.
Just like the art market and the exhibition of the other projects all together. And then this is like the most, this angle here is the most nice of the building perspective, and you're blocking it with many things. So you have to be careful how you do with it, so you enhance that vision. There's like really the main, all postcards and all photos take that angle, and then the front up. So careful with it. Anything to comment to Sundar? No? Because already Sanjun said about theatre. Okay. Now, yes, Megan. And we have 15 minutes to see you, so you can tell all detail you want. Music library. Just look at the class, yes.
I just study building to find how you can extend the building. And I think about the concept of my building. And I want to make some void space that in daytime light come into the interior space, and nighttime interior light can see from the outside. So this building can be more visible and more attractive also in the night.
So who is the master of making buildings which work like that? Stephen Hall does all the time. Stephen Hall, he likes to make this kind of view glass or translucent glass, so he has plenty of light. Then at night it's always lit when you look around, because that might work here. So okay, that could be.
So I want to add some void space. So this building is almost.
This building is solid and very thin. This is existing.
Yes.
So how do you make a void here? You are thinking, because that seems you are making like a solid. That elevation suggests something solid in front of the building.
This is void space of this glass, because
so that's something you put in front of the building. So it's coming glass
like here.
So yeah. So it's like coming here. Oops, maybe. Okay, then why don't you draw it? But then you will remove a lot of the space of the building to do that. So when you make a void, you can make it very thin, very close to the facade. You can put it in line with the facade. You can go slightly out. So you can do something in between, right? So it's many positions you can take. All the way to out as Maya is doing. So you have to take a lot of solutions for this kind of openings. Look at them. And then they have to help improving the product. Putting up box here with so little space will just make a new space around there, but something which is only circulation around there. So you need to also take that decision before you make that. Problem is a little bit in the small side because there's almost no extension. Yes, you are removing a space, but what you said. Existing building is about this. We make more or less the same. So I think
I didn't thought of the circulation space.
Maybe you have to add it. This is like 500 meters of each. It's like too much space. And then auditorium space open doesn't add. If it is no roof, it has no roof, then it's landscape. That's not a thing. So it is not in this space here. Then it will be a bit small. And 500 square meters library, you have to expand it small because it's quite a lot of space. 500 square meters, the full floor.
Yes.
Okay. So continue. It's nice to see drawings, but at the moment you define those things, you have to put in the building. See how the moment you start putting those spaces, you have to take decisions and you start having to take the next step. It's just doing it. Okay. Questions? So Stephen Hall. Glass buildings. It has a museum. Oh, I don't remember. I can just share later. You can remind me. It's quite. He does all the time. Okay. Any comment? No. Any question? No. 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 Okay. It is just 2 weeks we have to meet them. It is almost time. We can see previous midterm presentations, or we can see them in the next session. See examples of midterm presentation of previous years with this project. now in 15 minutes, or we stop here and we see them on Friday.
Friday.
Friday. Okay. So low battery. You look like my computer. So I think it is nice to see so much work, and most of you experience. And when you start producing, you need to make more. Don't say just because you are behind. So this is the process. And please make use of the site model. Those who are model based and those who work here especially, refill your batteries. And yes, so try to keep converging and think on midterm and also on final. Midterm, we may have very nasty critics. Don't fall in the temptation of abandoning and doing something new, no matter how bad the critic is. Okay? Understand?
Yes.
Okay. So we decided when we have the individual correction session, could be Friday or next Tuesday.
So like we can choose, we're going to do it on Friday.
Right. So we have, I want to have one session just individual, one-to-one. So I can scold you individually. So everybody can cry without everybody looking at. It's much better.
Okay.
So any case, we have like a 1 hour talk and then individual corrections. On Tuesday, so okay, you decide.
Okay.
You can make a cacao survey and tell me. Okay. Okay, Yorgun, let's end here. See you Friday. Okay.
See you Friday. Thank you.